Have you ever lost sleep trying to figure out why he suddenly pulled away? Have you ever wondered why a man who seemed so into you, so present, suddenly went cold, distant, almost like he flipped an invisible switch? Well, it's not just you. Thousands of women go through the exact same confusion every single day. And let me tell you a secret. It's not happening because he stopped liking you. It's because there's something much deeper behind men's behavior. Today, I'm going to be real with you, not as some distant lecturer, not as a guy throwing around cliches from self-help books, but as a friend, a man who's lived, who's made mistakes, who's been rejected and has rejected too. And as someone who's studied neuroscience and relationship psychology enough to uncover truths most men will never admit. What I'm about to share with you is a secret men carry deep inside, the weakness they all try to hide, but one that can become your greatest power if you know how to use it wisely. And stay with me until the end, because once this clicks, you'll never look at men the same way again. You'll start to understand behaviors that used to feel impossible to explain, and you'll see how to turn it all in your favor, without manipulation, without drama, without childish games. Just pure emotional intelligence. Every man wears a mask, and that mask is built from childhood. Think about it. When a little boy cries, how many times does he hear, "Stop crying, be a man"? When he feels afraid, someone quickly says, "Boys don't get scared, you have to be strong." That boy grows up learning that showing vulnerability is wrong, that feeling sadness is weakness, that asking for help is a sign of failure. The result? He builds armor, a thick shell, a mask that tells the world, "I'm fine, I can handle it, I don't need anyone." But here's what psychology shows us. The more someone pretends to be strong all the time, the more fragile they actually become inside. It's like a building full of cracks covered in fresh paint. On the outside it looks solid, but inside it's on the verge of collapsing. Let me give you a real-life example. John, a successful executive, high salary, luxury car. On the outside, he seemed like the dream man. But the moment his wife gave him a simple critique like, "Honey, you could listen more when I talk," he snapped with anger, as if she had attacked his very identity. Why? Because behind that mask of confidence, there was a deep well of insecurity. And here's the point. The stronger the mask, the deeper the fear it hides. And that fear has a name. Here's the truth most men will never admit. Their biggest weakness isn't physical, it's emotional. It's the fear of rejection. Neuroscience has proven this in powerful studies. When a person experiences rejection, the same areas of the brain light up as when they feel physical pain. In other words, for a man, hearing no can hurt just as much as getting punched. And why does this hit men so hard? Because from the time they're little, they're taught that their value comes from winning, from conquering, from being admired. If he can't win over a woman, if he doesn't get approval, if he isn't accepted, his entire sense of worth crumbles. That's why so many men pull away when things start to get serious. It's not always lack of interest. Most of the time, it's panic. Panic at the thought of being vulnerable, of being fully seen, and then rejected. To him, disappearing feels safer than risking the possibility of not being enough. Picture it like this. A man in love is walking across a frozen lake. He wants to keep moving forward, but every step feels like the ice could break underneath him. So he hesitates. He pulls back. Not because he doesn't care, but because he cares too much. And this hidden fear shows up in ways you may not even realize. The fear of rejection is like a shadow. It sneaks into his daily behavior, even when he thinks he's fully in control. Jealousy that doesn't make sense. You're just chatting with a male coworker or an old friend, and suddenly he gets upset. It's not really about you, it's about him. Deep down, he's thinking, what if she realizes that guy is better than me? Always trying to prove himself. He brags about his job, his car, his achievements, his trips. It looks like confidence, but it's desperation. His actions scream, "See? I'm good enough. Don't reject me." Anger or silence. Instead of saying, "That made me feel insecure," he shuts down or lashes out. It's easier to look tough than to admit he's scared. Breadcrumbing. He sends vague texts, shows up here and there, gives just enough attention to keep you hooked. That's not indifference, it's testing you. He wants to know, will she still be here even if I don't give my all? Here's a real example. Sarah dated a guy who would vanish for days without explanation. Then out of nowhere he'd send a "Hey, stranger" text. She thought it meant he didn't care. But the truth? He cared too much. Disappearing was his way of avoiding the sting of rejection. And that quick text was just a test to see if she'd still accept him. It feels confusing, I know, but once you recognize these patterns, everything starts to make sense. And that's when the power shifts. When you understand this hidden weakness, something incredible happens. You stop reacting the way most people do. Instead of crying, begging, or arguing, you step back and see it for what it is. You realize that behind his jealousy there's fear. Behind his arrogance, there's insecurity. Behind his silence, there's panic about being rejected. And when you don't play into it, everything shifts. He starts to see you as different. While other women spiral into drama, you stay calm. While others lose control, you hold your ground with quiet confidence. This taps into what psychology calls the scarcity effect. When something seems less available, its value skyrockets. When he notices you aren't shaken, that you don't chase him, that you don't feed into his unconscious games, you become rare. And rarity is magnetic. He begins to think, why didn't she react the way I expected? Am I losing her? Is she slipping out of my hands? That thought alone sparks a fire inside him. And here's where things get practical. Don't chase him. When he pulls back, resist the urge to run after him. Neuroscience shows that the brain releases more dopamine, the chemical of pursuit and reward, when something feels just out of reach. By not chasing, you trigger his natural drive to come looking for you. Validate without lowering yourself. Men do need validation, but not constant praise. The key is giving subtle, specific compliments. Instead of over-the-top flattery, say something like, I admire how you handled that situation. It shows real strength. That feeds his ego while still keeping you in a position of confidence. Use silence. Silence can be more powerful than words. When he expects drama and instead finds calm, when he tries to provoke and you respond with quiet confidence, his mind scrambles. He thinks, what's going on? Did I lose control? Am I losing her? That uncertainty pulls him back in. Be consistent. It's not about playing a trick once. Real power comes from consistency. When you show, day after day, that you know your worth, that your happiness doesn't depend on him, that your life has its own meaning, that's when you become irresistible. When you start using this wisdom, everything changes. He invests more. He shows up with greater effort. He starts trying to win you over every single day because he realizes you're not someone he can take for granted. From a psychological standpoint, this is called a role reversal. He goes from being the one testing you to being the one who feels he has to earn you. And when a man feels he has to earn you, he gives his best. This doesn't mean the relationship turns into a power struggle. Quite the opposite. It creates balance. It builds respect. He begins to see you as someone rare, someone different from the rest, someone he can't afford to lose. And here's the twist. What once looked like his weakness ends up becoming your greatest strength. So never forget this. A man's greatest weakness isn't his muscles, it isn't his bank account, it's his fear of rejection. That fear drives his moods, his silence, his jealousy, and even his sudden disappearances. When you truly understand that, you hold the power. Not to manipulate, but to guide the relationship with confidence, balance, and wisdom. And here's my invitation for you. If this video opened your eyes, imagine what's coming next. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, because I'll be sharing even deeper secrets about the male mind that can completely change your love life. And now I want to hear from you. Have you ever noticed this fear of rejection in a man in your life? Share your story in the comments. I'll be reading them.